Hello and welcome back to my shop. Today I'm going to be forging a fixed blade pocket knife out of some 1084 steel. This is a maker's mark that I made, and it has to be used hot on hot steel, and it came out pretty good, but I think I'm going to redesign it. You can see here that it's a little bit too big for this size of a blade, and I think the diamond pattern being shaped the way it is, it's going to be hard to keep it where it needs to be on the flats of any knife blade. So I think I'm going to remake it in a square shape, as it'll be easier to get it close to the spine of the knife without going up into the spine there like I did. For some reason, I lost the footage of drilling the holes in the tang of the knife, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Just used my drill press and drilled where I had center punched those holes. Heat treating 1084 steel is a fairly simple process. You heat the steel up to critical temperature, and then you quench it in warm oil. Once you've quenched the steel, you're going to temper it to reduce its hardness and brittleness. By tempering the steel, you increase the toughness and create a blade that is going to be a much more durable blade than if you had just hardened it and did not temper it. I use a toaster oven for my tempering, and I temper the blades in cycles of about an hour, and I do it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. This has yielded really good results for me. For the best results, any surface that is going to have epoxy, you should sand and get it to have more surface area for that epoxy to grip onto. I like sanding the pins, the tang of the knife, and I rough up the inside of whatever scale material I'm going to be using. That way the epoxy has more surface area to adhere to. All those little micro scratches and abrasions create surface area, and it really does help with the gripping ability of the epoxy. Best epoxy to use when gluing up knives is a slow setting epoxy. I really like that Bob Smith Industries slow cure epoxy. It has really worked great for me. Another thing you want to make sure to do is to use acetone to clean all the surfaces that you're going to be using epoxy on. Clean the tang of the knife, the scales, and the pins with acetone. That way the epoxy won't have anything inhibiting it from gripping that surface and from curing properly. Acetone is going to be your best friend when you're doing your glue up. There's always squeeze out up on the front of the knife blade, and I just use a paper towel or a shop towel, soak it in some acetone, and wipe that away. That way, you don't have to try to remove cured epoxy from your finished knife blade. It just wipes away cleanly, and then you're good to go. So I've got the knife handle nice and flat here, and I'm just going to chamfer the edges. I want a fairly thin profile to this handle since it's going to be a pocket knife. And I just use a file here for the chamfering. I chamfer and round over those edges. You could use sandpaper, but I find that this file has given me a lot of control, and I am able to keep the chamfers consistent around the whole edge of the knife handle without any areas where it's, when you use sandpaper, sometimes it digs in, but the file you're able to really have a lot of control with the way that the handle is shaping up. And this micarta files fairly easily and pretty well. It doesn't have any issues with the file removing material, and it just works really well and leaves a fairly smooth finish, which I can then go over with some 220 grit sandpaper to finish it off. And there's the finished blade. This is a small knife. I intended it to be really small. I'm going to carry it in my pocket. I'm going to make a leather sheath that clips to the inside of my pocket, and I'm going to carry it and I didn't want anything too big for those reasons. I think it turned out pretty good. There are a couple things that I don't like. The touch mark did go up into the spine of the knife, but that's okay. It's for me and I'm going to use it. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.